Now, Sharon Gaffney from the Business Desk is joining me. Hello, Sharon. You've been taking a look at how Omicron has been affecting companies around the world, with everything from airports to supermarkets and restaurants and bars experiencing staff shortages. So what is the situation like here, specifically in France?
Well, the finance minister has actually just made a new announcement. So he says that the government is to actually widen financial aid for companies that have been hit hardest by the pandemic at a cost of several €100 million. Now, this will include lowering the threshold for businesses to claim state support for turnover losses. Now, COVID case numbers were down here in France on Sunday, which would be expected following a public holiday on New Year's Day. But authorities were last week recording caseloads in excess of 200,000 per day, and that's having a massive effect on workplaces here, with more and more people being forced to self-isolate. Well, for more on the situation here in France, we can cross live now to our reporter Emerald Maxwell, who's been speaking with commuters and shoppers in the La Défense business district just west of Paris. Emerald, what are people there telling you about how the variant is affecting their employers and their businesses?
Well, yeah, as you said, I'm here at La Défense, which is one of Europe's biggest financial centres. And it's maybe a little bit less busy than usual, but it's also quite busy, considering that you have a sort of back-to-school feel in the air. It's obviously the first day back after the Christmas break. And so a lot of people we spoke to said they came into the office today, even though their companies will be implementing at least 3 days a week working from home going forward. Some people said that their companies weren't really sure. They were still working out the exact rules, and as you know, the announcement had come quite late in the day, so they were still waiting to hear exactly how it was going to affect them. But also it is quite busy because we're next to a big shopping centre, so there are some people who had actually pushed back the start of their workday and we're just here to come shopping. But some people, basically in any case, a lot of people said that they weren't particularly perturbed by the working from home directive. A lot of course, of them had done working from home for much of 2020. So they were quite used to it and were able to adapt, as were their companies. Although one woman said that who had been working at home in 2020, she worked for a lawyer's office, and in 2021 went back to work and saw a huge reduction in her energy bills. And so she wasn't looking forward to more expensive energy bills from heating her home this winter from working from home more.
One positive I expect for some people. Emerald Maxwell reporting there from La Défense. Now, Annette, the French Prime Minister Jean Castex, he is meeting with cabinet ministers later on today to discuss further government strategy for businesses.
So what has the French government already done to try and meet the challenges that businesses are now facing?
Well, both here and abroad, authorities are trying to move to reduce absence rates by changing quarantine rules for people who've tested positive for COVID and for their close contacts as well. In France, the isolation period for those who are vaccinated has been reduced from 10 days to 7. Neighbouring Spain has done likewise. And in the US, people have to quarantine now for 5 days instead of 10.
And you've been looking at one economy that's already been experiencing problems with staffing, and that was since way before Omicron was actually detected.
Yeah, you could say that the UK has been hit by a double whammy, Annette. So experiencing both problems connected to COVID restrictions and, of course, Brexit over the past year. That's been a massive issue for businesses in the UK. Acute labour shortages have been reported right across the economic spectrum, especially within sectors that were particularly reliant on EU workers like horticulture and hospitality. Now the country is coming under even more pressure as the Omicron variant surges. The British government is now asking ministers to develop robust contingency plans for workplace absences following record numbers of infections over Christmas. It says rising caseloads could lead to up to a quarter of all staff not being able to work. The National Health Service and schools are already feeling the impact. NHS hospital staff absences have nearly doubled over the past month. On New Year's Eve alone, nearly 1 in 10 staff, more than 110,000 people, were absent. And schools are now being asked to merge classes into larger groups and to consider flexible teaching options.
And more broadly, what other sectors are taking a toll from Omicron.
Yes, and the challenges posed by Omicron globally have prompted some economists to cut their growth forecasts for early 2022, anticipating continuing worker shortages and reduced consumer spending. So far, the Omicron variant hasn't driven jobless rates noticeably higher, but it's already taking a toll on businesses, with a growing number of staff homesick or quarantined. And the travel sector has been particularly hard hit. Thousands of flights were cancelled in the lead up to Christmas and over the holiday period, with the blame being placed firmly on increasing COVID cases among crews. Some American airlines are now offering to pay their pilots and flight attendants double or even triple their usual salaries to take on extra flying duties through most of January. And almost 4,500 flights were cancelled around the world on Sunday. Over half were services into, within or out of the US, and globally more than 17,500 flights were delayed. Already today, there have been over 3,000 flights cancelled around the world.
Thank you so much, Sharon Gaffney. That's Sharon Gaffney from the Business Desk, taking us through the global impact of this latest surge of COVID-19. We're nearly into the third year of the pandemic, and it's still having a massive impact on our daily lives.